Alright, it's me again, and it's time to go for the third and final variation of our Ghost 2x3x4, our brick cuboids. And this is the ruby. We did the emerald, the gold, rather the diamond, and the ruby now. So I'm told that this is the most difficult of the different variations, and that's because it's ghosted like this. So just to reiterate, the emerald is ghosted like this. The diamond is ghosted like this, which is difficult, but this guy is ghosted like this, which tends to skew our perspective even more and make us have to solve it in a with a certain strategy. So for this guy, at least when I was solving it, I could line the layers up. So the middle layer would look consistent than the top and the bottom. With this, it was a little more difficult, but at least I could line up the terminal layers here, which in a ghost is ideal. However, when it's ghosted like this, the top and the bottom and the middle aren't going to line up. Instead, you have to take it in sections. So I'm curious myself how this is going to turn out. The first challenge is getting used to the motion. So here is the only motion that I can do, which is this, and then I have to put it in its ghosted form. So let's see. Now, the movement is a little more stiff than the others, and I think that just has to do, I got it right into it. Okay, so that was a little easier than I thought. But anyway, so I haven't lubricated this puzzle, so it's just a matter of moving it. There's small little screws in there, so I got to be careful. All right, so this can move on all planes. And now I have to get perspective and make it lined up like this. So it's going to look something like this, I would assume. And I want the 3 layers to be in front of me. So 1, 2, 3, 4. These are 4 layers. So I think we're going to look something like this. So this will be 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that represents these 3 layers over here, with the 2 layer at the side, the 3 layer in front of me, and then across is 4 layers. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. So this is the back part, this is the front part, with the 4 in front of me. Okay, so I can really see how this is going to be a perspective bender, and I'm wondering how that's going to work. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so again, like before, it might be useful to scramble this guy and be able to see if I can't borrow the perspective. So we'll do that once again. Abracadabra. Okay, so this is a nice complete scramble. Now, let's get our perspective here once again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is going to be facing me like this, and this is how that's going to look. So the first step is to do 180-degree scrambles. So I'm going to start off with this. Just do 1, 2. Then I'll do a couple of these down here. 1, 2. I got to keep my perspective about me. Okay, good. 1, 2, move this in, and I'm slowly getting to the point of no return. And I'm just separating all these guys out. Okay, the movement is pretty good. Let's separate these out. Even the process of scrambling, I risk getting lost. So I'm trying to move this bottom part. 1, 2. It is stiff. It does move, but it is stiff. Let's move this here. 1, 2. I haven't done this move yet. 1, 2. All right, so we're so far unbandaged. Is that a little sticker there? Did I lose a sticker already? I don't know. We'll see. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. And try to move this guy here. I'd like to move this across. Doesn't want to move yet. Maybe I'm not lined up. 1, 2, there we go. Yeah, that's a little stiff there. Okay, now, haha. I think what I can do is I can do the 180-degree, the 90-degree turn. So I'm going to move this here. Okay, and this is where my movement is going to start to become more restricted. this, 1, 2. I'll move this twice here. This guy wants to move anyway, so I'll oblige. 1, 2. Move this here, move these guys, move this over here. Okay, so now we're getting really, really well turned and scrambled. Okay, not bad. Okay, that was an interesting scrambling experience. Now once again, I could make it really confusing by doing a move like that and just go boom. So this is about as scrambled as and as jumbled as it's going to get. Okay. Oh, what did I do? There, I think I did that. Okay, so how do I go about this? Where do I even begin? Well, just to reiterate, the first thing that I do is I get the middle layer here. So this is not going to ever be shape-shifted like the top and the bottom. So I usually go for the terminal ends to see what goes where. So this is red and green. It's easier for me to see that this is also red. So this simply goes here. So, well, I need the orange and green. So I'm going to turn this here, pop this along in here. So these are right. I turn these here, so I know these reds are lined up, blues and greens. Now, in this version of the puzzle, I could easily line up these guys. I can easily find it. In this version of the puzzle, I could see how this is all straight, so I could align that as well. In this version of the puzzle, really I have to go segment by segment, and I can't correlate these two because it's skewed like that. So instead, what I'm going to correlate is these two. But I still have to make sure that these guys are where they need to be, but I don't know what goes where, except for what goes next to these centers here. So here's what I mean. What I'll have to do is the equivalent of, I have to get it like, well, I'll have to get it like this, because these two will correlate in a ghost, but these will be completely offset, so I won't really know. Let's get this back here. Okay, so let's see what I mean by that. Let's find our way. So this will always be 4 in. This is 4 in, but this is like 3 in. So what I'll have to do is, the only ones that are going to match are these two centers. These can match too, but it's bandaged, so I'm not going to be able to move these. I'll have to unbandage the puzzle first. So just for the sake of perspective, I'm going to just do a middle slice here and see what matches. This does not match, which means I'll have to do a slice here and then slice it back. Now, the good news is there's only a limited amount of movement that this does. So this is in, which means this is automatically in as well. So these two center pieces are in, but I have to correlate with the pieces over here, and I'm not going to be able to do that until I get the puzzle unbandaged. So to get the puzzle unbandaged, what I'll have to do is start doing that technique. So I'm going to turn this over here, 1, 2, 3. Now normally what I do to unbandage the puzzle is I correlate these corners with these edges over here. So for instance, this is blue and red. I know it's yellow up here. This yellow is here, and I simply move the yellows in. So this is moved up here, and so that I don't offset the center, slide in with the right, slide it to the left, move it to the left, slide it to the right, and I do that sliding U technique. So that's in, did not offset this guy over here. So this orange will come over to here, move it in from the left, slide it to the right, move it in out from the right, slide it back to the left, move it back in from the left, slide to the right, back to the right, and boom. And it's unbandaged. Now this happened to get unbandaged at the same time. It oftentimes doesn't do that, but in that way you can see that it can be a pretty simple puzzle in that way. Here, I just have to use almost any edge. But how would I calculate doing this in a way that makes more sense? Now I can't correlate this with anything except what goes here. I can't correlate this with here because it's ghosted at that point. So what I'll do is ask myself what corner might come up here. So here's a corner here. I can see this correlates with this over here. Yeah, this is okay. So let's take this and let's just move this up to here. So it's going to be, move it in from the right, slide it to the left, move it out from the left, slide it to the right, move it back on the right, slide it to the left, and move it back from the left, and bring it back. Okay, now my purpose of that is I have 4 layers here, so I've freed that up pretty good. Now this is also freed up just by happenstance. So these are all fine. Down over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got 4 here that I can utilize. So let's put this front and center. But this has to be swapped. Now understand, I'm only getting it in a position where I can free up all the different layers. So when I swap these two, it doesn't mean that the corners are where they're supposed to be. So doing an adjacent corner swap to our can you move to our let me see. Okay. To our, it's got to be here. It's just stiff U to our UI to R that's UI D to R UI to R U to R, and this moves back. Okay, so what this should have done is it caused all my 4 here, so now we can see freed up, freed up. This is now an unbandaged puzzle, which gives me wiggle room. So now I can say, okay, with these 2 here, which one of these edges goes here? I'm going to just start off with that. This one does not. This one also does not. So what I'm going to do is simply turn this, because remember, we're very restricted with our middle layer. Very gently and very cautiously without... Okay, move this like so. Okay, now with that said, I got totally missed, perspective got blown. Okay, that doesn't belong here. How about this? Okay, this does belong here, so we're good over here, which means if I double turn this again like so, now this other corner should come to here. So this is all fine. Now what's interesting is this is not all fine. And I think the reason for that is because these 2 have to flip. Remember, we have equivalencies with these 2, but with, well, this center and this center. We don't have equivalencies over here. Now, it doesn't really matter that much because we know this is where it needs to be. This just has to be turned, swapped. Well, we had a way of doing that, and that was if I do, see, I like this over here. This is all in, so I don't want to be swapping that. But if we swap these 4 edges, this too should turn and thus be properly placed. So let's see what happens. That's a trick that I learned from these 2 puzzles. So doing a URF algorithm to U to R to F, that's to U to F to R to U. Okay, so as predicted, this did rotate, so now this is in. So this is where you put theory into practice to see if it makes sense. So now we have this middle layer. These are all lined up, these are all lined up, and this is ghosted, but we don't need to go back on that. So it's the equivalent of putting all of these in. Now in this case, the way that I did it is, if I were to do something like it, I went like this, then I turned this in, So I see this is lined up and this is lined up. Okay, so fair enough. Fair enough. So now it's a question of edges, and that's really where we're at. The way the edges work is I look to see which two are in. Now these two are in, and I'm going to see if all four are in. This doesn't belong here, it belongs right over here, so it's going to be a URF algorithm. So 2U, 2R, 2F, 2U, 2U, 2F, 2R, 2U. That's now in, and I turn this back. Now, it also flipped this, but we don't really care. So now we have a situation where these are in, one of this is in, one of this is in, and one of this is in, which now we all recognize to be a brick parity. So that's the one big bad algorithm. So we'll set this aside here. So what do we have here? All these are in. This is not only correct, but it's in the right place. If this were over here and lined up, I'd have to do URF to flip it, which would flip this again, which means I'd have to do another random URF to flip it back. But this is where it needs to be. In terms of what's going on over here, well, let me back up a step. I actually skipped a step. My goal then, at this point, is to try to get these guys in, the corners in. Because they have to line up, this whole face has to line up with each other. So this is not correct. This corner's in over here. But let's see what happens since this whole thing is in. If I turn this here, nope. What that tells me is that this probably needs to go down on the other side. So let me just move this down here. Like so. And now we can see if this goes here, and it does not. So I'm going to turn this again. And the reason I'm doing that is because I need to correlate it with this center on the other side, upside down. So I'm basically correlating this whole chunk with which center it belongs to. It doesn't belong here, doesn't belong here, doesn't belong here on this side, so I have to see if it belongs on this side. So let's go ahead and double turn. Now it should work, and it does, predictably. Okay, so this is where it needs to be. And that also tells me that these corners are where they need to be too. So now let's put the other corners in. It doesn't matter at this point how this is rotated. So it doesn't matter if it's like this on this puzzle, because that's easily turned. All that matters is these guys all correlate with each other. So as we're looking at this, we see that this corner is correct. But we want to do side by side. That's just what I'm used to doing. This corner is correct. You can see that over here. This corner is correct. I need to get this one. So which one is that? It's not this, because this is correct over here. Maybe it's this, but this doesn't look like it fits so good here. It might be this. I like this because it has like a triangular shape, and there's a triangular pattern here. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that is what's going on. So we're going to go 2R to put it in, slide it to the left, 2L, slide it back to the right, R, slide it back to the left, and 2L, and then slide that back. Okay, now you notice something. What you notice, well, this is in, and this was not correct. Very interesting. All right, so I think it is this one, because this one looks like it fits here. Now, what's interesting is I made a faulty assumption. I had an edge here, and I thought it was the correct edge, but this is the correct edge, not this. Well, not the one that I had, whatever that was. I assumed that what was here was correct, and I tried to correlate this with that edge. I think it was probably this guy here. So this was in over here, but I neglected to notice that it didn't match with this. This one does. Now this shape more clearly correlates with this shape. So I'm going to come over to here and correct my mistake. So 2R, slide it to the left, 2L, slide it back to the right, 2R, slide it back to the left, and 2L, and move it back. Now, you'll notice something. This correlates now, as does this. I took the edge out, and that's just what happens in these cases. Okay, so now these are in. But you notice that, oh, okay, I thought I might have taken this out, or unbandaged it, but it did not. So this is in, this is not in, this is in. Okay, so this is a situation where, well, it's unbandaged, which is good. But I have these two corners that are in. Usually what happens is two corners are next to each other. But it turns out these are not. So I need to flip these two. Well, no. Let's see, I think this needs to be here. These two need to flip-flop. So what that means is this needs to go here. If I flip these two, well, let's do it like this. I flip these two, and then I flip it again here so that this can be over to here. It's going to take my bandaging, it's going to put my bandaging back in, but only temporarily because I'm trying to solve for the corners, like with this. Okay, so let's flip these two. 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, UI, D, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R, and this quickly turns back. Okay, so what I did is I flipped these two. So now I'm going to hold it like this and flip these two. 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. You can see the movement's getting much better. UI, D for some layers. 2R, UI, 2R, U, and 2R. And this moves back. Okay, so my strategy has worked. These are in, but now I have to flip these two, which will once again unbandage the puzzle and put all my corners in. 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, UI. Whew. This is a rough one. D, 2R, UI, 2R, U, and 2R. Okay. This moves back, and we can see corner in, corner in, corner in, and all these corners are in. Okay. So let's get my perspective here. So what we have is everything is freed up, centers are in, corners are in, all corners are in. Now it's a matter of these edges. And let's see, we've got two that are paired and others that are not. And just like with this, where does this belong? Well, let's see, let me double turn here. It doesn't belong there. Does it belong? It doesn't belong here because this is in. It might belong here. It's certainly kind of sunken in, so I don't think it belongs here. Let me go like this. I'm going to turn it like so. 1, 2. And then just see if it matches up to here. And yes, okay. It does. So this is going to take, I can foresee some issues, some complications here. So I need to move this into this space. So I'll do the URF algorithm. It will rotate this. So that's got to be rotated back. And that's going to rotate back by doing another kind of a URF algorithm at another layer. So let's first off get this in. That's going to be 2U, 2R, 2F, 2U, 2U, and 2F, 2R, and a central 2U. Okay, had what I was looking for the effects. This is in. This got predictably rotated. To rotate it back, if I hold it on the right and I do a URF, with these two, this will rotate back, but do I want to do that? Well, I don't know that I do, because one of these is in, one of these is in. So we have a brick parity, right? Both are in. One is in, one is in. Now none of these are in. So which one of these does this belong to? Well, if I move this in here, it's not that. How about here? It is this. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is I want to do a rough algorithm, but I want to swap this with this, because at least this will be into here, even though I'll lose this, and this will be into here, which chances are is where it goes. So I'm going to take this and double turn it like so. Boom. We'll do our U or F. I'll lose this piece, but I'll put this on that side, which is where it belongs. So these will all swap. So here's what I mean. And this should swap back. So to U, to R, to F, to U, to F, to R. You can see we're getting so close to U. Okay, this did swap back. This is now in. We can keep this here and now sort of look and get a lay of the land. And what we see is these are all in. Well, I'm sorry, these are in. This is the center, not the edge. So this is in, one of these are in, one of these are in, one of these are in. It's exactly the same as this, and it's the brick parity, just so that you can visualize it. The way this is going to work is this needs to go to here, this needs to go to here, and this needs to go to here. But this won't move here, it'll move back here, so I gotta go boom. And for the right-sided version, it's 2F, U, 2R, UI, 2L, U, 2R, UI, 2L. We do a 2F, a middle, 2R, and then back 2F, then reverse it, 2L, U, 2R, UI, 2L, U, 2R, UI. We do 2F, get this back. It had all the swapping that we wanted, and it will be done. Now, will I lose my perspective? Well, the first thing to do is ask ourselves what actually goes where. So let's see, got my perspective back here. Okay. So the ones that are in, these are in. So what goes where? This is how I have to hold it. Okay. I see. So does this go here? And does this go here? I'm going to turn this in. Yes. So there's only one way for it to go. This must go here, which means this. Yeah, okay. This does not go here, so that's right. So this doesn't go here. This must go here. So this is already lined up. So this to here, and this to here. Now let's see if I mess this up. So we start off with a 2F. I can mess it up by not knowing how it's coordinated. Then we go U, 2R, UI, 2L. U, 2R, UI, 2L. We double turn this like so, and this still should be non-bandaged. This turns here, and we turn it back, then reverse it with a 2L, U, 2R, UI, 2L, U, 2R, UI. Doesn't look all that solid, does it? Then we do another 2F. Move this back in. And aha! I could do another 2F, but in reality all I have to do is unghost it and done. So there you have it. The last and the hardest version of the Ghost 2x3x4. What was really fun about these puzzles is it takes the simplest version of a brick. Now there's a simpler version, but you simply don't get the kind of full motion that you get. So this is the simplest brick cuboid with all the full motions, with the brick parity and everything. A pretty simple and fast solving puzzle as long as you have that, and variates it in a way where it really skews your perspective. It gets you really trained in terms of solving brick cuboids, and it also helps skew your perspective. Once you get these solved down, it's not too long of a solve, it's not too laborious, but it really is a nice, fun challenge. So this really sets us up for what's going to be potentially a full 3x4x5, maybe even 4x5x6 versions of these ghost cubes where it'll get incrementally more difficult, but I highly recommend this if you wanted to really refine your techniques of ghost cubes, ghost cuboids, brick puzzles, brick parities, put them all together in all of these variations. Very worth it, not just for the collection, but for the fun of the solve, with very playable puzzle. Masterfully made by Mohammed Badir, and I can't wait to see more of your puzzles in the future. Thanks for all the hours of fun I've had in solving these puzzles and figuring them out, and thanks for watching.